Welcome to C60 Health Connections, where we meet with leading experts in the health and wellness space. On today's show, we are going to deep dive with Claudia Muehlenweg, who is a natural vision improvement expert. With the events of this past year rolling out across the planet, people have been spending a tremendous amount of time on screens, from computers to tablets to cell phones. And truth be told, we really haven't had enough time to consider the impact of this added screen time to our vision or our eye health. Stick around so you can learn how to naturally improve your vision. My name is Jessica McNaughton, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at C60 Purple Power. I'm a businesswoman with years of experience in corporate America. And for the last 20 years, I've been exploring various modalities in health, wellness, and spirituality. Now, before we get started, these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Any products or topics discussed are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. So, Claudia, great to see you this morning. Thanks so much for joining me.
I'm super happy to be here, Jess.
You have such an impressive background, and the work that you do is just extremely fascinating to me. So you are the founder of Holistic Vision, LLC, and the creator of the Naturally Clear Vision Method. And tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you become a natural vision improvement expert?
It's how we often go through struggles and challenges, and that actually becomes our most meaningful work, right? So, of course, I had glasses. I got my first pair at age 3, and I was bullied and teased in school. I hated them. I mean, every kid hates their glasses, but it was really making my life miserable. And I was able to get out of glasses in my early teenage years, found the method that my current method is based on, and was out of glasses for like a few years. And then my vision got worse again during my high school exams. It got really bad. And I realized that that's when I really kind of dove deeper a little bit into this method and explored the practices. And I was able to stay out of glasses, thankfully, for a long time. And then in my mid-30s, in a very, very stressful marriage that ended up in divorce. I was a single mom of 2 little children. I was back in glasses. And I had this epiphany one night after wearing them for a few years and noticing how my vision got worse. And I had this one moment where I took my glasses off and everything was so blurry, like so much worse than it ever was. But it's like, this doesn't feel good. Even though I'm at that age, like over 40 now, where you're supposed to wear glasses, I dug out that old book and I started in all seriousness. And that's when I got rid of my glasses. It took me a couple of years, but it's been almost 20 years. And I just turned 60. So I haven't worn glasses in almost 20 years.
Okay, first of all, I don't think anyone's going to believe you're 60. So you look fantastic. And so whatever you're doing, we should all be taking notes. All right, so let's just dive into this. What do people need to know about vision health?
So the thing is that there's several things that we have been told, right? We've been told, first of all, that your vision always can only get worse. And maybe your listeners have noticed that their vision varies too, that it's sometimes better, sometimes worse. Most people notice, like you mentioned in the beginning with screens, after a long time on the computer, it gets worse. But vision is changeable and can be getting worse and better. And your own habits and your lifestyle is basically, I would say, I don't know the exact percentage, but like think of 95%. Most vision problems have nothing to do with genetics. Like people are always told it's genetics, it's age. It's really way more your lifestyle, right? Your sleep, your diet, your vision habits, the techniques that I teach, that's really what it's based on. And yes, there is some genetics and usually eye diseases, that start in childhood. But most of the vision problems and statistics can show, when you look at statistics, how the rise of nearsightedness has gone up since the 70s from about 25% in the States and about same thing in East Asia. And in East Asia, it's now over 90%, 90, right? That's not genetics. That doesn't happen that fast.
That's fascinating. So can people improve their vision at any age?
Absolutely. And this is what I always say, you can always make improvements. Now, it does depend, right? How long have you worn glasses? How old are you? So, sometimes I get people like, oh, they're 60 and I've worn glasses for 50 years. How many weeks does it take to get rid of them? I'm like, it took you 50 years to get here. But, it's, when you're younger, you definitely it's going quicker, but everybody can make improvements. Many of my students are back to 2020 or even 2010 vision. And here's a key that I want everybody to know. Just making improvements, getting into weaker glasses will actually help you prevent getting an eye disease. So it's worthwhile. Think about it, right? Think about how important your vision is. So how many more tasks can you do without glasses? How much more freedom can you get when you don't need them for everything, right? That's kind of the basic message.
Yeah, that's fascinating. I reached out to you because I've been wearing glasses since I was in my 20s. And in the first conversation that we had, you shared a little bit about your experience growing up. And the one thing that came out of that conversation that absolutely blew my mind was the fact that trauma can have an impact on your vision. You asked me what age did I start wearing glasses, and I'm not wearing them now specifically because we're having this conversation, and I'm playing along with you. But you'd asked me like, what age did I start wearing them? And I said, well, probably around 22. And you're like, what happened in your life at 22? And I was like, oh, I got married, but it wasn't a good marriage. So that was fascinating to me. So how does stress or trauma impact your vision? And can your vision change after a traumatic life event?
Absolutely. And see, this is when my vision got worse, right? When I've actually not, why do I say second marriage? It was my first and only one when that fell apart. So yeah, so trauma is this big word, right? And, sometimes we call it adverse childhood events. That's actually a thing that you can test. Here's the thing, all babies are born farsighted. And I know you got your glasses like at college age, mm-hmm. right?
Yeah.
But let's backtrack a little bit, especially if you get glasses at in childhood.
Okay.
The thing is, our central nervous system's highest priority at all given times is to make us feel safe and to keep us safe. And I don't want to get into too much anatomy, but we can be in the relaxation mode, the rest and digest mode, the parasympathetic state. We can be in the fight or flight mode, the sympathetic state. Now, if you get bullied, if you get teased, if there's any kind of thing that makes you not feel safe, and a marriage falling apart, right? That doesn't make you feel safe. You feel stressed all the time. You're in that constant fight or flight mode. And that's when you're, just from an anatomical statement, factor, your pupils dilate, your peripheral vision shuts down. You're literally the deer in the headlights. You might not breathe right. All these, basically your body doesn't function properly. And it works best when you're relaxed. But when you're not feeling safe, you cannot relax. So it's kind of this vicious circle. And especially as a child, you're probably not really nearsighted. Nearsighted means, let me see my little eyeball here. When you're nearsighted, your eyeball is a little bit too long like this. Mm-hmm. You're not really nearsighted yet, but your vision is blurry because the world doesn't feel safe. So your nervous system is like, let's not look at all these things that are scary and overwhelming. Let's just stay in our little bubble and be safe. And then they take you to the eye doctor, and then boom, you get glasses, and then that actually manifests into true nearsightedness.
Wow. Okay, so let's say you've had a traumatic event, and then you notice your vision starts to decline. Maybe it's a period of time. You go to the doctor, and they're like, "Hey," or you've just gotten out of grad school or something like that, and you go to the doctor, and it's like, "Hey, you need to strengthen your prescription." What should people do if they notice after an event, and maybe it's just the event of this whole last year that we've all been going through collectively? If somebody goes to the doctor and they're getting this kind of feedback, what should they do?
So what I usually advise everybody to do is, first of all, if you're already wearing glasses, take them off and just notice what you see and connect with what I call the strains and the gains. And the strains is like anything that makes your vision worse. We already talked about that a little bit, right? Computers, could be emotions, stress level, how was your sleep, the light levels, like really get tuned into your eyesight and how it varies. And fluctuations in vision, again, because it's based on the nervous system, are normal. Even I have 2010, 2015 vision. When I'm really stressed, or when my computer died in the middle of a big summit that I was hosting, trust me, everything was blurry. I was in full panic mode, right? So that is normal. And tune in. And here's the thing, I just discovered a book that I bought many, many, many years ago by the American Vision Institute, which is like a group of 3 optometrists and 1 scientist. And they wrote this book, and they taught, and they're behavioral optometrists. They actually help people with fusion problems, But they wrote in this book, why do we call them corrective lenses? They don't correct anything. They basically, right? If they would correct something, you would wear them for a while and then your vision would be good.
Right.
Eyesight is literally the only area where you pay a doctor to make your condition worse. Right? When you think about it, it's crazy. So definitely don't get into weaker glasses. Maybe find out some things easy things you can do to keep your vision in top shape or improve it. It's really not that hard. And the sooner you start, before you're in like really, 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 really strong glasses, the easier it is to make it perfect again.
Okay. So one of the other things I loved learning about from you is that healthy lifestyle choices can really impact our vision. So let's talk about food. What types of food should people eat if they're interested in supporting healthy vision?
So I love this question because here's the thing. Even I had a blind spot when it came to food, like until I started diving more into that topic like 4 years ago. And diabetes is the leading cause of blindness. And most people are like, well, I don't have diabetes, but diabetes takes like 20, 30 years to develop. And it starts with insulin receptor resistance. So sugar, right? We've all heard this before. Yep. Sugar is a really big no. And sugar leads to so many vision problems. And, it starts slowly. It's not like from one day to the next, it's all bad. So definitely no sugar. You've heard all this stuff before. Everything that's good for your heart, the dark leafy greens, pale spinach, they're full of lutein and zeaxanthin. And those are the two plant kind of pigments that cover your macula that actually absorb blue light. So when you buy eye vitamins, right, they usually have lutein, zeaxanthin, astaxanthin. So those are the key ingredients. Astaxanthin is the only, it's a microalgae. So sometimes it's a little harder to get, so you can use supplements. But here's the thing, supplements are absolutely fantastic. I take several supplements. I take C60 Purple Power just because I want my body to be in top shape. But I also take vitamin D and vitamin A because I have found out I have genetic issues with metabolizing those things, right? But the key, supplements are not a replacement for a crappy diet. Mm-hmm. They're supplementing, right? They're filling in the gaps where you might not be able to, again, depending on your genetics, you might not be able to metabolize something like vitamin D from the sun, But definitely dark leafy greens, no sugar. I stopped sugar completely. And then, the rainbow, the vegetables, the fruits. I'm a vegan. It doesn't matter that you have to be vegan, but I always ask the omnivores, like, how much plants and how much fruit and veggies are you eating? That's more important than, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's kind of what I want to say about that. And here, water, very important.
Drinking lots of water, vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin C as well, correct?
Yes, vitamin C. That's what I mean. When you eat like a good diet of, like, eat the rainbow colors. If you have dark leafy greens or greens on every meal, and you have a variety of different, there's purple carrots, there's blueberries, there's orange. Like, eat a good variety of whole foods, not the store, but right. Whole foods. Versus the processed foods are bad. And the other thing that's really important for eyes is omega-3 fatty acids. Most of us get way too much omega-6. Okay. So, and that's just where a lot of processed foods are the problem, right? So omega-3s are in chia and flax and walnuts, salmon also. But most people have a very poor omega-6 to omega-3 ratio. And you have to be really conscious about that to get enough.
There was one food that you told me about that made me so happy. It's in the sweet treat category that helps with vision. Do you want to talk about that?
No, I'm blanking on which one did I tell
dark
you?
Chocolate.
Oh, yeah, dark chocolate. Okay. So here's the thing. I even recently learned this. So that, I'm hosting a room on Clubhouse. We're taking a break right now, but we're hosting a Clubhouse room. And then one of the attendees, and I looked at the studies, said, did you know that dark chocolate is actually helping with eyesight? I'm like, no. So I looked it up, and there's actually studies done, and it's not the one with sugar. It's like, I eat the 100% black chocolate, no sugar. I don't want to say any brand names, but you can get it at Trader Joe's. Okay. It's amazing. So yeah, I recently learned that. That's probably why I forgot. It's I eat dark chocolate every day. I probably eat a little bit too much, but it's so good.
I think that was exciting news.
Yeah, but don't get the one that has tons of sugar in it, because then you're defeating the purpose.
Right, exactly. So the high amount of dark chocolate percentage with no to little sugar is what our goal is.
Yeah. So don't get the milk chocolate, that stuff with all the sugar in it. That the candy bars, those are not going to help you with your vision.
Well, let's talk about other healthy lifestyle choices, because I know you just mentioned drinking plenty of clean filtered water is going to be really supportive. You need to have 8 to 10 glasses a day. You can go up to, half a gallon or more if you need to. And you said, avoid sugar, avoid processed foods. What do you think about alcohol and caffeine?
So I have to be honest, I do drink some caffeine. I drink some coffee and some teas, or green tea, but it really depends. Everybody has different sensitivities. And I think research is still out there, but you definitely don't want to down like a gallon of coffee every day, right? You definitely want to limit that. And alcohol is the liver and the eyes are directly connected. So alcohol is really not a good thing. And I have to tell you, I used to drink my glass of wine every day. And I tried, I was not the kind of person, I was never an alcoholic, but I was kind of the person who couldn't just be like, oh, I drink one glass a month, like my sister could. So for me, I just completely stopped drinking alcohol because it was just easier than having to ration it to 2 or 3 glasses a week. But everybody's different. So if you have a glass of wine once in a while, that's going to be fine. But if you drink a glass of wine or 2 every day, and obviously smoking, right? Smoking is, it's not such a big topic anymore, but smoking is also something you should not do. I used to smoke. I'm from Germany. We all used to smoke but here's the thing. You can make, like you just said, I don't look 60, but I did a lot of bad stuff back then. But right now I turned it around and I changed it all. So
you look amazing, Claudia.
Thank you.
Okay, so what other healthy lifestyle choices should people integrate into their daily routine to support vision? Because I know there's other things like movement and exercise and even the amount of sunlight that we get. You want to talk a little bit about that?
So definitely. So, like I said earlier, everything that's good for your heart, you want to have movement. In movement, it's not just physical movement, even eye movements, right? You want the blood and the limbs to circulate. So, and also, mindfulness is such a cliche word right now, but vision can only happen in the present moment. So if you're always distracted, if your mind is always somewhere else, you literally don't see the forest for the trees. Paying attention. And sunlight is, here's the thing. Sunlight has been we found that sunlight cures tuberculosis, right? That's why people were put in sanatoriums, especially in Europe, right? They were on these sun terraces, sunbathing, getting, the sick people. And then sunlight was suddenly this bad thing. And then it's this good. So it kind of goes back and forth. Yes, if you have skin, light skin like me, you have to be careful with the sun. But we are told that sunglasses are absolutely necessary. And I wore them religiously. I live in Los Angeles, right? Bright sky. I would even wear them on overcast days. But what happened is my pupillary, we have actually built-in sunglasses, right? The little pupils, when it's bright, they get small. And when it's dark, they open up. My pupil reaction was really sluggish and slow because they never got to train, being exposed to bright light. And then my night driving was an issue. I couldn't, the bright headlights would bother me. And so I stopped wearing sunglasses probably almost 20 years ago as well. And I only wear them in extreme conditions. I do want to say, though, if you have your listeners, if you have a certain eye disease, or if your pupils don't constrict, or if you take certain drugs, that keep your pupils, then definitely wear sunglasses. I do want to make that disclaimer, but I'm just talking about healthy eyes, general lifestyle, not skiing and bright sunlight or anything like that. So we don't need sunglasses. A hat, cap is usually, because we get a lot of vitamin D through the eyes. And anyway, we have built-in sunglasses. Nature gave us a pupillary reaction.
Well, how does exercise impact vision?
Because, the brain needs the most oxygen, and about 25%. And the blood vessels in the eyes are very, very tiny. And if you have poor circulation, right, you don't get enough blood supply in your retina. So movement in general, you just want to, everything, movement is life. I heard a craniosacral say that once. She said, movement is life, or life is movement. So, and it's not just, people think of exercise. I think of eye exercise, of exercise. Exercise is a tiny part of movement, right? Movement is everything we do all day long. I shift my focus to my backyard. I look out the window, right? My window is not behind me, but it's in front of me. So I make it really easy for myself. I'm standing at a standing desk, right? I even have a balance spot that I balance on, not right now, but because I don't want to be wiggling around here. But adding movement to your life doesn't have to be challenging. And it's so important because in terms of vision, when your vision is bad, you're probably squinting, you're straining, you're staring, you're trying to not move, right? You're locking it in. So
that's
movement
great.
is super important.
What are the top 3 things our listeners should remember about improving their vision naturally? Or what are the top 3 things they should take away from this conversation?
Okay, it's always so hard to hone it down to 3 things. But blinking is really important. A lot of people complain about dry eyes. So blinking is really important. About every 2 to 3 seconds, studies have found when you look at a screen, our blinking rate is decreased to like 2 or 3 times per minute. And it only takes 10 seconds for the tear film to thin. So that for the eye, and then definitely don't put these eye drops in, because then you produce even less tears. So blinking, breathing, right? I kind of batch blinking and breathing together, because it's just 2 things that we can control, but that we also do automatically. So yes, luckily we do both things automatically, right? Otherwise, I think we would all be dead if we wouldn't breathe automatically. Imagine, we have to think about it. But you can, focus on breathing into your belly, more into like the stress breathing is here. It's up here, and that creates all this tension in your neck and your shoulders, which affects your eyesight. So the neck is the bottleneck. So breathing, taking a few deep breaths, but also breathing more into the belly, which creates, when you breathe into the belly, that kind of tells the nervous system, like 80% of the feedback comes from the body to the brain, and only 20% comes from the brain to the body. So when you start breathing into your belly and make your exhales a little longer, the brain is like, oh yeah, we can relax. Because if you would be in real danger, right, you wouldn't breathe into your belly and you wouldn't make your exhales longer. You would be huffing and puffing and running for your life, right? So it's a way to tell your brain, hey, it's time to relax. The other thing is resting your eyes. Like, I'm not standing at my desk all day. I'm not running a marathon every day, but we kind of expect our eyes, it depends on how many hours you're awake a day, right? So resting your eyes, what I teach is something called palming. You might have heard that. You can just close your eyes, or you can add a little more. I like to rub my hands. And then you cover your cupped hands, right? You don't press on your eyes, but you basically cover your closed eyes with your hands. And it gives your eyes this little warm cocoon of darkness. And then you take a few deep breaths and you relax your shoulders. Ideally, your elbows are supported on something. So I'm holding mine up right now, but you want to relax completely. Think of something relaxing, something that makes you happy. I like to think of something where I'm like, oh, yeah, like, maybe a favorite vacation spot or a favorite person or whatever it is. And then you can stay there for 10 deep breaths, or you can, I sometimes palm during meditation, for 20 minutes. And I'm showing you how to come out. So, you keep your eyes closed, and you don't want to just rip your hands away and rip your eyes open. So keep your eyes closed. Just take a moment to kind of let the light come back in, and you notice how much light comes into the closed eyelids. And then when you're ready, you kind of 5 quick blinks, blink, 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 5 gentle squeezes, and you might notice how lubricated my eyes are, almost like probably smushing at my mascara, right? It's like, so and we didn't even do a minute. It doesn't take long, but rest your eyes, give your eyes a little break from seeing, and even if you just close them for a few deep breaths. And then the last thing I would say is the sunlight. Like, really make sure that you go outside, that you get some natural light, especially in the morning. We now know that infrared lights, studies have been done to show that infrared light waves are in the sun, right? It's part of the sunlight. Natural light has infrared, but studies have shown that it rejuvenates the mitochondria and older retinal cells. So if you're over 45 and you're listening, you actually, your mitochondria are the little batteries in each cell. The retinal cells are the ones that use more energy than any other cell in your body. Think of a car battery, right? As you age, it gets kind of weaker. So basically, sunlight is kind of a way to rejuvenate those cells and bring them back up to perfect performance.
This is awesome. I understand that we talked a little bit about vitamins and supplements. Are there any specific ones that you really love that you think people should look into?
I'm just testing another one. I love C60. I don't have an eye disease, so I can't report if there's any changes on that, but I do feel more energy and just feel overall better. I'm just testing a new one it's called the Eye Protector from Pure Synergy. I'm just starting to test that one, so I don't have big reports, but it has very clean ingredients. This is the thing with supplements. The cheap ones, they have fillers and they're not active. A lot of times they don't even have the stuff in it that they claim they do. And Pure Synergy, the Eye Protector, I think is a good one to supplement, especially if you are older or if you already have like macular degeneration or any like those two things, C60 purple power, I think are very good to prevent eye diseases. But again, they don't replace a poor diet. So if you eat donuts and hamburgers and fries all day long, those two things are not going to fix your eyes.
Right. Yeah. Awesome. Well, this has been really cool. I really appreciate your time, Claudia. For our listeners who would like to learn more about how to heal their vision naturally, I know you've created some ebooks and some courses and some really great tools and resources for people to connect to you. You want to talk a little bit about how our how our listeners could connect with you?
Yeah, so I have a free gift. It's called 10 Habits for Healthy, Happy Eyes. That explains the palming, the sunlight, the blinking. It definitely has it goes pretty in depth with like 10 different things you can do, super easy things you can do. That one you can download if you go to, you have to do the www for some reason, but www.naturallyclearvision.com and then /10 habits, like the number 10 in habits.
Okay, we'll link that here below too in the show notes.
Yeah,
so it's really easy.
And that will get you on my email list. And right now, I know this podcast is not airing, but 2 times a year, I'm running a free 5-day vision like a vision course. Like, some people might call these things challenges. We're just finishing one up, but I'm going to do that again in September. So once you're in my email list, you will find out about those free trainings. And I also do a Clubhouse room every Tuesday. Again, right now we're taking a break. But if you're on Clubhouse, I also do a free show every Wednesday. Clear Vision Wednesday on my YouTube channel. So if you put those links underneath. So I do like a little training every Wednesday at noon Pacific on my YouTube channel. So I do lots of free things. You can definitely get started without having to invest any money. You have to invest a little bit of time. But here's my message. How important is your vision to you, right? Remember, glasses don't correct anything. In fact, they make it worse. And same with LASIK and contacts. They're not going to solve your problem long term.
Wow. I love that. Okay. So if people want to access, it's the 10 Habits to Healthy Vision Guide. It's at www.naturallyclearvision.com /10 habits. And Claudia's website is myholisticvision.com. Again, we'll link all of those links there and you can connect with her. Claudia, thank you so much for your time. This has been a very enlightening conversation and I can see more clearly now. So
okay, that's awesome. One last thing I want to say, two of my colleagues produced a documentary, right? And I was one of the teachers being interviewed, and the editor of that documentary, he was just listening, like editing this movie, which was kind of stressful on the screen. His vision improved by just listening to all of us talking about vision improvement. So I'm not, what you just said actually makes sense. So
yeah, this is awesome. Thank you so much. I can't wait to continue to explore this topic with you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for having me.